Welcome, everybody. I'm Howard Ashmore with Skiva, Sunshine Coast EV Association. We're going to start doing these Zoomcast videos, hopefully answering some questions out there for people. And we're going to start off talking about long distance travel in an EV. And we got the expert here, Buddy Boyd, veteran EVer, a long time, many miles traveler in an EV, his Bolt. He did Bolt across Canada with his partner, Barb Hetherington, in 2017. Check that out, boltacrosscanada.com. Really interesting stuff. So, Buddy, good to have you. How you doing today?
Thank you.
Hey, tell me, just what would be your, your go-to advice for people when asked about long distance travel in an EV?
One of the things I always get asked is like, what was the biggest thing that you focused on? And we got to remember there's others who have done cross Canada trips. Silky and Rolf over in Victoria, they did Tesla Cross Canada, I think in 2016, and Kent Rathwell did a cross-country trip in 2010 in the Tesla in winter to scout out the locations for their Sun Country chargers. So looking at their stuff, I kind of gleaned out what was the thing to do that would probably have anybody who's nervous about taking a long distance trip is planning. That's without a doubt, it's planning.
Planning. Yeah.
I recommend using the PlugShare app so you can always see what chargers are ahead of you, make sure they're operational. And so I say that would be the biggest takeaway right off the bat is planning.
Yeah, so PlugShare, the PlugShare app's where you get essentially every EV charger level 1, well, level 2 and 3 anyway, pretty much across Canada, North America for that matter. Is that right?
I think it's globally now.
Oh, globally. Yeah.
And the nice thing is you can pick your charge, your plug options in the PlugShare app. It's a really good universal app because if there's something wrong with a charger or it's not working, people post comments. So in doing your planning, depending on what your trip is from point A to point B, is you just kind of look ahead a little bit and just see the condition of chargers that you're hoping to use down the road, right?
Yeah, so it's sort of a user-based system. I imagine it's up to people to log into when they log into PlugShare and they're at a charger that might not be functioning or something. It's people need to report those things to PlugShare so that the information is kept up to date. Is that right?
That's basically it. You report it on PlugShare, but more importantly, you contact the station owner if it's a Flow or a Sun Country or a ChargePoint or Electrify Canada, whichever it is, note it on the PlugShare app so other EV travelers will know there might be an issue at a station they're planning on charging at. But as well, it's incumbent upon us to, when we're traveling, is to report it to the station owner. There's usually a 1-800 number of some sort on the charger, an ID number. And this is what separates EVing from ICE vehicle traveling, right? It's very individual when you're driving a gas or a diesel. But electric traveling, especially long distance, it's a cooperative effort, right? And we have to collaborate together and help one another.
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure. So when you say planning, so you're going to make a trip to, say, Calgary or something. You've never been there before. I guess you need to know how far your EV will go, and you maybe like run me through sort of what goes through your mind when you're trying to plan a trip, say to Calgary or something like that. What kind of planning would you do? I mean, you want to know where the chargers are, of course, but is it sort of never miss an opportunity to charge on the way, or do you set goalposts along the way? What sort of planning do you do?
Well, as you know, we attended the Biosphere Institute Electric Vehicle Festival earlier this month in Canmore, Alberta.
Canmore, yeah.
And we live in Gibsons, British Columbia. So it's basically the first thing I do is check the highway conditions, right? Because we're traveling through British Columbia, and this goes for anywhere. There could be accidents. So
For sure.
So the first thing I go into is highway, then weather, then plug share, and check out the chargers I think I'm going to need on my planned route, and then develop a backup plan. For us specifically, we don't charge to full on fast chargers. We usually go up to about 60%, because on the Bolt, which we have, there's a big step down from 60 to 80%. So we try to operate off the top half of the battery instead of the bottom half whenever possible. So it's more frequent stops, but shorter duration, and we just do top ups, right? If it's available to us.
And you I guess you try to hit level 3 fast charges as often as possible. You wouldn't really bother with level 2s unless maybe you're you've arrived at town for the night. You might plug in for the evening or something. I mean, part of your planning, if you got a long enough trip where you're a couple of days out, and you want to hang around in a town or something, level 2s would certainly work well, because you can park, leave it there for a couple hours. Although that's not good etiquette, is it? To leave your car plugged in for a couple hours while you're doing a big charge.
Well, there is it's a neat thing about those who are seasoned plug share app participants is in 2017, most of our charging was only level 2, because there was no or very few level 3 chargers in Canada. So in 2017, it was kind of a unique situation, because we would communicate with one another on plug share. For example, if I was staying at a Best Western in Dryden, which we did, I post that, here's who I am, here's how you can get hold of me. If you are desperate for a charge, just reach out to me. And it's that communicative, cooperative thing again, right?
Right.
So
sure.
It's good etiquette to plug into a level 2 charger, but let people know if your car is full. That's the bad etiquette part. You've got to have a system where you unplug, or you can share a charger with other people who might need a charge.
For sure. So when you're talking about planning, are there other apps? I mean, I know there's one called a Better Route Planner, I think it's called, for instance, where you just sort of type in the information about your vehicle, type in the information where you're going, and the app will figure it all out for you and tell you where to stop and how long to charge and things like that. What do you think of those apps? Is that something that you would do, or?
I don't use them because I'm not that tech savvy. I'm more old school, right? And so I like to go and look at the individual station. I like to do my own planning. But for those who like to use that app, I applaud them. The key thing I always urge people to do is always make sure you check in when you're charging on your PlugShare app, so people know that you are there and when you're going to be finished, because some places only have one fast charger. So again, it's that collaborative sharing kind of thing. And I lost my range anxiety in 2017, and I really travel now with range confidence, right?
I guess another thing with those apps that you have to watch out for would be they can't always take into consideration the weather, if you got a headwind, the condition of your battery, how much weight you're carrying, all those kinds of things. So you'd have to give a lot of leeway.
I like to see myself versus a computer generated route planner, what the weather is, what the road conditions are, and what charging stations I want to go visit, right?
Right.
Especially when I'm at a charging station, we tend to stay with our car. It's just something we've always done, and and Barb will go out and walk Odie, and we'll use the washroom. We always try to, in our planning, is see what facilities are available if we want to eat or we want to go to the bathroom, want to walk the dog, might even be want to be a little bit of a mini tourist.
Right.
But remember, we're building out an infrastructure in a very short, compressed amount of time, and
Oh, yeah.
we've got to realize how far we've come in a short period of time. Like less than 5 years ago, we drove to Newfoundland, and there was just a small handful of fast chargers.
Okay, well, thanks very much, buddy. I think we got some good points out of this conversation. When we post this to YouTube, if people want to leave comments and stuff, we might revisit it if we have more questions than we've answered today. But thanks very much.